Hello, I've started playing a fantasy wargame called Frostgrave. Today I wanna talk about a few things I've learned in regards to building engaging terrain for my table. Here is the table from my last few games. Most of the pieces here are terrain that I almost never got to use in my D&D games. I would define these as junk terrain, but now I get the chance to use these buildings, scatter terrain, and my poor mini collection. That's great, and I'm happy about that. However, most of what you can see here will be replaced with dedicated Frostgrave terrain. We've had lots of fun when playing Frostgrave, and while experimenting with different configurations of terrain, we've learned a lot. Let's talk about a few terrainy things that we'll keep in mind when planning our better terrain. Vertical terrain is amazing. These types of ruined towers and castle pieces joined together with walkways and ladders have proven themselves to be very useful. The combination of altitude, cover, and line of sight blocking leads to great gameplay with many tactical choices. Take a look at this mini, some kind of goblin painted by Jerry when he was a kid. Absolutely hilarious, but I've used these for games as I don't have much. More doorways. Here you can see I have just cut out a hole in the wall to make the tower more useful for the game. Some parts of my simple tabletop castle have worked quite well. They work best as buildings that figures can stand on. Placing minis inside would be too tricky. Okay, many of the houses are definitely peasant level, but they are good enough for now. There is the winter diorama, quite fitting for the theme. I can see myself doing more diorama style builds. They are good for a large table. The aerial view reveals the 4 little tables that I have joined to create my big board. These are from IKEA, cheap and easy to stack in a corner. For now, coins work well as treasure tokens. They are good because you kind of want to take them and put them in your pockets. This definitely improves objective play, which is very important. Fences and walls are useful. When placed near buildings, they create quite safe areas that provide reliable cover against ranged attacks. Very comfy. You can't have too many ladders. In the future, I'll make lots of better ladders, bridges and platforms. They are so useful for building the board in different configurations every game. And of course they look engaging. Bad stuff. This church isn't good for the game. Mainly it works as a big chunk that blocks vision. That one has the same function, although the roof is a bit more climbable. Take a look at these. The buildings are ridiculous. 2 years ago I decided to make many extremely quick village houses. I'll burn them down when the time comes. Nonetheless, they have worked quite well when arranged like this. All manner of houses get more interesting with half cover near them. I'll make sure to include more rust defenses in future builds. Oh, look, in this game I used this claw as a mini for my raised zombie. It worked well. Anyway, with many of these features in mind, I built this ruined windmill last week. We haven't used this in a game yet, but I believe it will work perfectly. Here we have many paths for moving, cover and elevation. One future build I have in mind is the ancient battlefield. I was inspired by the base of this dreadlord painted by Jacob. The idea is that we build terrain with lots of skeletons, rusty weapons and barricades scattered all around. We'll see how that works out for Frostgrave terrain. Talking about frost, instead of snow terrain, I'll be building summer-themed terrain for my table. That would be Summergrave. There are many epic builds to come, and of course I'll still keep making the very simple things. Custom monster minis, peasant level crafts, and so on. Well, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.